Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're gonna have a look at the Sailor 911S. I bought this pen from eBay from a seller that sells vintage fountain pens as well, but this one was supposedly unused and it came in this cardboard box. Inside the box there is nice lining and there were some instruction booklets. However, my pen didn't come with any cartridge or a converter. I wanted to buy a pen for my wedding in June and I wanted something cream colored or ivory, and I couldn't find that many pens that really fit the bill. But then I spotted this one for a very good price, so I did not hesitate for too long. And I'm quite happy with the pen, so let's have a look in more detail. This is a cigar-shaped fountain pen made out of injection molded PMMA plastic. It has a cone-shaped end of the cap. Below the cone there is a gold trim ring and a gold-plated clip that is unfortunately a little bit stiff. However, it is usable and quite good looking. Below the clip we see two metal trim rings. The bigger one has an engraving Sailor, Japan, founded 9/11. The cap then tapers down towards the body, and at the end of the body we see another gold-plated trim ring and an identical looking cone-shaped end. The cap unscrews in 1.5 rotations, which reveals a very nicely stamped 14 karat gold hard medium nib, as well as the plastic feed. The nib unit is integrated very well. It does not overhang the section. The section is 9 mm wide at the narrowest point, then tapers out slightly towards a metal piece from which this trim ring is visible, inserted into the section. The section also has a little bit of flaring. It's quite pleasant to use, even though I prefer slightly wider sections. The threads on the pen are all well machined and they are not sharp to touch. Unscrewing the barrel gives us access to the cartridge converter system. Currently I'm using a Sailor blue cartridge. The metal piece with the threads has a little O-ring that helps the nib body from accidentally screwing out. It works quite well, but as always I'm not super happy about seeing metal on plastic threading. The cap then has a plastic liner down below which helps with the sealing, and it seals quite well. I have tested it for about a week and the pen started without any issues whatsoever. It's slightly shorter than a typical full-sized modern fountain pen, still a bit longer than the Pelikan M400 at 13.5 centimeters, but shorter than the Pilot 912 or the Lamy Safari. 18.5 grams, that's a pretty solid weight for an injection molded plastic fountain pen. 11.7 centimeters when uncapped and 11 grams. It's a little too short and too light for me when uncapped. The good news is that it caps really well, deeply and securely, and it's only 14.8 centimeters long, just a hair longer than the Pelikan M400, which is an excellent poster as well. And this edge here is nicely rounded, so I don't think that will bother anyone. So let's have a look at how it writes. So this is the Sailor 911S, the hard medium nib, and the ink is Sailor Blue. The nib has a pleasant amount of feedback that is Sailor known for, and it's generally a joy to write with. It is quite rounded, no vertical horizontal line variation, and the wetness is pretty much perfect. So let's have a look at hard starts. No issues with hard starts. This pen writes with no pressure at all every time I write with it. Reverse. It is a little bit scratchy, but the ink keeps flowing more or less well, and you get this extra fine line. Flex. This is a hard nib and it lives up to its name. You don't really get any meaningful line variation out of it. Let's check for skipping. No issues whatsoever. The only minor issue that I had with this nib was that the tines were slightly misaligned out of the box, so I fixed that before I even inked the pen for the first time. Apart from that, it's pretty much perfect, even though slightly boring. It does not have any horizontal vertical stroke variation, it does not flex, but it is a perfect workhorse for everyday use. Ergonomically, the pen works quite well for me. The section is just wide enough for a longer writing session, and I have to use the pen post-it. That's maybe the only disadvantage. Otherwise, I feel like the pen is a little bit too narrow up here and a little bit too light, but when post-it, it's perfect. Overall, there isn't really much to complain about. The pen is built extremely well. I feel like the tolerances of every little piece are pretty high. The cap seals well, the pen is comfortable when posted, and the nib is a real joy to write with. My only nitpicks are that the tines weren't perfectly aligned out of the box, and then there is not a super hard stopping point of screwing on the cap, but when I don't think about it, it's not an issue. What might be an issue for many people is that you will not be able to get this pen for $110 normally. You have to search for deals from Japanese sellers on eBay or look for used pens. I'm really not sure if I would buy this pen for 200, 300 euros or dollars, even though I can't really fault it for anything. It looks good and it's functionally almost perfect. However, it's still an injection molded pen with a small 14 karat gold nib. But I will leave that decision up to you. For me, this will be a perfect wedding pen. I like that it's a little bit smaller than full-sized, so I will be able to fit it in my suit pocket. And I'm planning to fill it with Diamine Forever Ink Skyline, which is a nice blue pigment-based ink. That's why I wanted to avoid anything with an integrated filling system, because for this pen I don't mind if the inside of the cartridge gets stained, and I can pull out the feed and the nib to clean inside of the nib unit. I also really like that this isn't a true white color. I'm not sure if I would call it ivory, because it's a little bit too gray leaning. I wish it was a little bit warmer, but still better than most pens that I looked at. But that's all for today. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!